Hi and welcome to the SohoLIFF Spotlights. I'm Liz Farah-Hardy and I'm really excited today because we've got a very, very important interview happening. We are speaking to the wonderful David Thackeray, who is an intimacy coordinator. Now, this is something at the moment that has been on the minds of some people and completely ignored by others. So we really, really wanted to speak to you today because you've done some amazing work. I mean, David has worked on sets like White Lotus, Sex Education, massive projects. Just to sort of back up a little bit, for anyone that's watching this and wondering what this is, what does an intimacy coordinator do?
Yeah, so an intimacy coordinator offers a process that allows open communication and transparency when working with intimate content, not only for the actors, but for the whole production. The core of intimacy coordinating is consent and boundaries, and making sure those conversations actually happen before they go on set. It's about making sure they feel comfortable and able to perform these scenes just like any other. That's like the root of.
Yeah, so it's not just for like nude and sex scenes, is it? It's, for kind of things like teenagers and emotional stuff or anyone with deeply emotional scenes.
Yeah, like it can vary. So one of the first things I would do is I would read the script and I would find all of the intimate content. So that could be a kiss, an embrace, it could be a bath, a shower scene, it could be getting into bed, out of bed, post-sex, simulated sexual content, whatever it is, I would highlight it, and those conversations would then happen with the director and the writer to see what their vision is for those moments.
And do you ever go through a script and go, right, this is a bit that I need to be there? And when you speak to the director, they're kind of shocked?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like shocked, but I'd say, oh, we missed that one. I didn't even think about that. Of course, yeah, like, what? It's a good question. What are they going to be wearing when they're getting out of bed? Or, how am I going to shoot this shower moment? Actually, I'm just going to be on a close-up of their face. So actually, they could be wearing a bathing suit or whatever they feel comfortable with. But it's about getting that information from them so I can then talk to the actors and be like, hey, this is what we're thinking. Like, what's your thoughts? Have you got any questions or concerns about that? Do you want to talk about that scene in more detail? So yeah, like those things can pop up, and sometimes they find some stuff and I'm like, yeah, okay, great. I didn't even see that. So it's just making sure it is happening and the actors feel equipped on the day.
Yeah, because, that's got to make you feel so much more confident and able to do it. Because I know that there's been some controversy where some people have gone, oh, no, we don't need one, and it makes it, silly. But actually, if you feel safe, you can relax and be much more, in the moment.
Yeah, 100%. When I first started as an intimacy coordinator, I was directing before this and acting. So when I was directing, I actually had an intimate scene that I had to work before the intimacy coordinating existed. So I was like calling up other directors. How does, what do we do? Like, how does that work? Like, is it going to get in the way if I do this process? Is it going to make it a bit stilted or a bit rigid? And then once I did it as a director, once I'd done it as an actor and an intimacy coordinator, I realised, actually they're much more freer and I'm finding more detail, and I can find this scene in a short amount of time compared to me as a director trying to have those discussions with the actors where actually the intimacy coordinator could have done that previously in pre-production. There's actually a sole person there to make sure they're comfortable and able to deliver that scene. So it takes that pressure away from the director, and they go, oh, great, you're in a really good position or a really good place here, and I'm not constantly having to ask, you feel okay? You're okay with that? Am I asking you to do something that you might not necessarily want to do? So that's why the IC is there, to go, hey, I've got you, and I know what their boundaries are, and they've got a point of call to come to me and go, hey, I don't feel comfortable with that. Can we put this in place? Yeah.
It just sounds such a lovely way to work. And, are actors embracing this?
Yeah, I think so. I think like most of the time I've come off set or, you know, go, thank you for being here. You know, like whatever it was, even if it was just you know, you say just a kiss, but, you know, it depends on the age of the actors or the artists or, you know, you can't just expect that an actor feels comfortable no matter what the age is and on any of the kind of intimacy. Oh, they've done it before in this film. It doesn't work like that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna ask you that actually, because obviously you've worked with such a range of like really experienced actors and some brand new ones. Do you find that there is a difference, or is everyone kind of...
Yeah, I think there definitely is a difference in nerves.
Right.
You know, if it's their first time coming on set and then their first scene on the shoot is a kissing scene or something like that, imagine, you know, and that can happen. So that pre-production, the rehearsals and those conversations are like incredibly helpful and you know, allows the actors to feel okay, comfortable and knowing exactly what's going to be happening on that set. I think what I like to do is take away the mystery of those scenes for them. Who's going to be there? How are they going to shoot it? You know, questions like you would get from someone who's not as experienced on set or in acting, or how long do the kiss last for? Or how long does the simulated sex last for? Like, when does it end? Do we use tongues? Like, you know, all of this kind of things. Like, it might feel embarrassed or worried to ask, but then I'm just going, hey, this is what it is. You know, let's put this out on the table. So they don't have to ask the questions necessarily.
Do you ever find it difficult to bring those conversations up?
Not anymore.
No. In the beginning?
Yeah, of course. When you first started, you're like, oh, like what is the right way of what's the right terminology, or can I really ask that? Is that not too private? Or yeah, of course. At the beginning, like anything you do, trying to work it out.
But I mean, when you look back at sort of the history of film. I mean, there's been some quite horrendous things. I mean, like Brooke Shields came out recently in a documentary about, I mean, it's basically abuse on sets. And I mean, Last Tango in Paris is a really famous one. Hitchcock's got quite but I mean, it's quite horrendous. And we look at that and go, oh, this amazing art, these wonderful films, but at what expense? What cost? Yeah. Do you feel like it's changing now?
I think so. I think personally, like, just because of how the role of the intimacy coordinator, how it was looked at the beginning, or when it was starting to be on set and stuff, it was very much a bit of a pushback and what is this? Leave me alone kind of thing from directors, actors, producers, everybody was going, you know, this is new and do we really want this? To now, where are you? You know? Yeah. So I think like there is a shift of, okay, we need an intimacy coordinator now for this, you know, and that wasn't on people's minds only 6 years ago.
No. And I mean, is that now being budgeted for everything?
I would, I think so. You know, what I'm seeing, 100%. Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah, which is really good, isn't it? Yeah. And would you say as well that as you, I mean, in Hollywood, it's become really the norm. Would you say over here we're starting to catch up? I think
I would say yes, probably about 4 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, but like now it just feels it's you know, everybody needs an intimacy coordinator and in theatre and TV film. I think it's really we're kind of there. I don't see someone doing a simulated sex scene without one.
No, so that's really good change, isn't it? And would you say that there's any kind of difficult sort of like situations that come up? Any sort of things where where you've got someone going, no, I don't want this.
Yeah, I think like every single job or individual, there's going to be, you could see it as a challenge, but also like, oh, great, you know your boundaries as well.
Right.
Like, so you're like, okay, great, well, I know how we can do this scene in another way. You know, it's always like problem solving and working that out. And so as an intimacy coordinator, you've got to be ready, you've got to be flexible, you've got to be able to go, well, we could do this. And that still tells the same story. So that's why it's so important to have those discussions beforehand.
Yeah, so there's room then for someone who's not feeling comfortable with it, which there wasn't before, was there?
Exactly. Like, you know, you could have, you know, let's say that someone didn't feel comfortable doing the kissing on the lips. I'm like, okay, well, that's not a problem. Let's have a chat with the director and I'll think of a few ideas of what we could do. Would you feel comfortable with a kiss around the neck or the forehead, or maybe they take your hand and kiss you there, or whatever it may be. And working with their boundaries, and suddenly you might have something just as beautiful, or, you know. Yeah.
And that's art, isn't it, as well? We have to be flexible with it all.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the things I was going to ask as well, there's been quite famously, Russell T Davies was very sort of strict on that with LGBT scenes, that you couldn't be straight to do them. Have you had any sort of opportunities to work with people where that's come up? Like, do you believe that is something to be followed through, or is an actor and it doesn't matter?
Yeah, I think it's tricky. I think, you know, I understand why Ross T. Davies says this as well, and you know, I think he's right in some respects, because it's coming from a place of knowledge that maybe someone else wouldn't have. But however, so as an instant coordinator, you know, if there is someone who isn't from the LGBTQ community and is playing someone who is gay or something like that, like it's about them doing the research, doing the work for the character, having those open discussions with the other actor and the director and myself, and for myself to do research where I might not necessarily know about. So it's. Yeah, I think, like every single role as well, I think it's important to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes me think of, though, in Fleabag with lovely Andrew Scott. I mean, I don't think there's a girl in the whole entire world who wasn't completely taken in with that, completely believed that relationship there. You know, it's sort of like, I know all the boys fancy him, all the girls. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, that it's flipped the other way. I just wondered if it did make a difference at all. Yeah, so actors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 100%.
And how did you get into this?
So I trained as an actor for about 5 years at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama.
Oh, lovely.
And then I went into directing as well. So I was juggling, as you do.
Take it all on.
Yeah, of course. So I started with a lot of theatre, and then went into screen directing as well. And then I was invited to train as an interest coordinator around about 2017, 2018.
Oh, right. What, someone actually approached you about it?
I was actually, I was being taught by Ita O'Brien at points at my drama school, and they were like, would you like to come and workshop this and train with me? So I was like, yeah, okay, great. What is this, you know? And then from there on, I realised actually this is really cool and great, and found myself. I think one of my first scenes on the set was a huge production and an orgy scene. So it was like it was a lot, you know, right into the fire, and I learned a lot at that point. So yeah, it was a huge thing, and then going into shows like Sex Education from season 2 to 4, that was a learning in itself, you know, because you're working with all different kinds of people, different relationships, different kind of simulated sex or intimacy. So you're like, wow, okay, how are we going to do this? And because it hadn't been done on screen. Yeah,
and of course, a really young
as well. Yeah. So that was kind of great as well, because some of them just come from training, or, you know, we were the first time working with intimacy coordinating, so we were, you know, working together of like, this is what we've got. What do you think of this process? So yeah, it was an interesting time.
Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah. Have you got any funny stories that you can share?
No. I mean, I can tell you, you know, there's some, you know, I've worked on some big sequences where it's a lot, and you know, there's every day is different. But yeah, nothing I can spill. Sorry.
Had to ask.
Absolutely.
And if somebody watching this is thinking, oh my God, I would really love to get involved in this, I would love to do this, what would be your advice to them? Yeah,
so I would say, like, a lot of the training programs that are out there, you kind of have to have, you know, like an understanding of acting process or a director's process. So a lot of people come from movement choreography, a stunt background, or fight choreography. So it's to have that understanding, because obviously we choreograph these moments as well, you know, step by step. So you need to have that kind of understanding, and also how it works on set as well. who you're talking to, like who does what, and in the jobs, the set etiquette as well. So you're not just coming straight in and going, right, this is my tick sheet of what I need to do as an interest coordinator. It doesn't work like that. You know, you have to be able to be flexible and work in that way.
So if actors are friends, does that make a difference?
Yeah, I mean, the process stays the same. So it stays the same, but like I think you have to like lean in more towards the characters. So taking away, like, okay, you might have a personal relationship outside, you might be married, you know, and we're interested about these characters' intimacy and how they're intimate with each other and how that's different. You kind of go, look, we don't want to know, you know, it's that we don't need to know that. We need to know this is what this choreography is. This is what the story is here. I guess 1+ is that they're comfortable with each other. You know?
Or can it sometimes be the opposite? If you're like really good friends, could that be more awkward?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. It's like, okay, yeah, of course, yeah, 100%. I think, yeah, there will be a comfort there, but that's why I would keep the process same. You know, I'd still do the same thing.
But I suppose that's even more why it's so important to have you there.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would just be like, oh, you already know each other, off you go.
Oh,
you
yes.
know? And it's like, well, hang on a minute, you know. But we're not used to having this relationship in front of a whole crew.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to be different, and it's putting in those boundaries for each other and having that conversation, which will be different from their personal relationship. You know,
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, so you got a boundary on your neck or whatever it may be because of the situation that we're in right now, you know, rather than if they're at home behind closed doors. Yeah.
So talk me through the process, like from sort of, well, yeah, just talk me through the process.
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, a brief like outline of that. So you can actually start from casting. But I would say a lot of it's like pre-production, all of those conversations, you know, marking through what intimate content we have, talking to the director and the writer of like what their vision is for this moment. You know, what nudity are we going to see or not? Have you got a shot list for this? Usually not yet. But like, have you got an idea of how you're thinking of shooting this? A storyboard is always helpful. So get as much information as possible from them, so then I can then have a chat with the artists. I usually like to do it on a video call, just because you get to know the face, get to know the person, and we can discuss through each scene that they have and discuss what their boundaries are, what kind of nudity they feel comfortable with, and that will be different for each scene. It can be different for each scene. And then from then I can also go, hey, like, what kind of intimacy garments, like nudity garments, do you usually have or would like to have? And then I can have that conversation with costume and say, hey, can we make sure we have X, Y, and Z, this genitalia pouch or nipple covers, whatever it may be, ready to go for these artists. And then we come into like rehearsals. Sometimes we have rehearsals like a week or 2 weeks before we shoot, or we might be doing it on the day, depending on the scene, depending on the artist's comfort. They might go, look, I feel very, very nervous about this. Can we please just have a meeting or a rehearsal before the day? So again, it's all about that open communication with production and the director and the actors, and it continues throughout. So then, yeah, we do a rehearsal. That looks like we do a thing called agreement of consent and touch, where we mark through where they're happy to touch and, more importantly, where is there no. And we call those red zones. So we want to hear the word, yeah, no, don't touch me there, you know. And if it's a maybe, it's a no for now. And that's like clear things, you know, we only mark through the parts of the body that might be in contact for that scene, you know, on the face, the neck, or around the waist. And that will be different each day. So it's always good to have that check-in with the two actors, go, how are we feeling today? Any kind of red zones for today? And that's also to say, like, that could change throughout the shoot as well. So when we get into the shoot, there's a closed set. So myself, the director, could even be outside the room as well with a monitor. Inside the room is obviously the camera, DOP, a boom operator, and most of the time, yeah, everybody else is outside the room. And there's like limited monitors actually on. And obviously, like, a dressing gown's close by. No one goes into the room until the dressing gowns are back on and they're ready for people to come in. There's nothing worse where people just barging through, in and out, changing a light, you know, or tweaking a bit of equipment, and they're just there, vulnerable, fully nude, you know, what's going on kind of thing, you know. So that's that part. One thing I say to directors is, where do we finish? When do we call cut? You know, it's all good to say, yeah, we finish when they climax. Okay, great. Say if that happens and the actors are like, well, I thought that has happened. Why are we still continuing? Where's the cut point? So we're all on the same page. Because there's nothing worse, you know, where you're continuing and you don't really know when this scene's actually going to finish. So that happens. You make sure that's very, very clear. And once we've finished the scene, you know, throughout I'm checking with the actors and I'm with the director and the monitor, and we're discussing that looks realistic, or, you know, do we need to tweak this, whatever it may be, a bit of the choreography. And then we come into, we finish for the day. And then a couple of days later, I do a thing where I would contact the actors, just like a message, and just say, hey, like, you know, how you feeling about the other day, the intimate scene, any kind of concerns or thoughts that have come up since. You know, even myself as an actor, when I've done an intimate scene, it was the days after where I start to overplay it or overthink it. Usually with the directors, you know, we say, like, do you mind if they watch playback? And for, like, when it comes to the intimate scenes, and they're usually like, yeah, like, that's a good idea if they need to feel comfortable. And that goes, okay, great. Oh, I see. That looks really beautiful. That looks great, actually. And I can see how you're going to edit that. That gives them a bit of reassurance.
So it's just really giving people a bit of control, isn't it?
100%.
And boundaries and support as well.
Yeah, someone to go to, you know.
Yeah. God, it just sounds so lovely. Such a lovely way to work.
Yeah.
Oh, David, this has been so fascinating. I'm so grateful for you coming in and
I really
speaking about
appreciate it.
this. And, you know, because it seems such an important thing, and it's wonderful to know that it is becoming more normalised now. But I'm really excited to see what you're doing next. And just, yeah, thank you.
No, thank you so much.
Oh,
Cheers.
amazing. So, if you are making a film and you've got intimate scenes, this is your man. Or you get someone in, just make sure, because it just makes such a difference. But thank you so much.